Good morning. Now I know COVID is finally coming to the end. The English are allowed to travel again. British Airways managed to get my suitcase to the same airport at the same time. And the British government are having cabinet meetings, not COVID parties. But it's great. It's great to be back here at the SAC. I missed these conferences during the bad times. It's great to see so many people and the automotive industry coming back together and doing what we do best. I'm David Eyes. I'm the VP of Automotive Solutions for True Commerce. In Gary's speech, he spoke about things like clock speed, about two different industries coming together. You've got the automotive industry. You've got the new EV OEMs, technology companies coming together, working at different speeds. That sums up True Commerce. True Commerce are leading experts in e-commerce, in retail supply chain digitization. We also have an automotive sector. We're bringing those technologies together. I speak to colleagues on the retail side, asking what's different between retail supply chain, retail digitization, and how we do things in automotive. A great friend of mine said it's easy. He said, my 90-year-old grandmother, when she buys a hammer from Home Depot, knows exactly where that hammer is every second of the time it's on its way, until it finally arrives at her house. In automotive, you don't know where a $50,000 part is that left China. That's what we have to fix. That's what True Commerce is experts at. Today we're going to do a panel session. We're going to take a slightly different approach. We're not going to have a panel session of OEM experts, of suppliers. We're going to have a panel of service provider experts. We're the guys that sit on the outside. We're the guys you come to solve those challenges. So we're going to have a panel discussion getting their perspective, what they see is happening in the industry, what challenges the OEMs and the customers are bringing to them, and what we as service providers, as technology providers, are looking to do to support and help the automotive industry grow and become successful across the multiple different platforms that we're currently faced with. So it's a pleasure to introduce our guests today. We have three experts from different industries within that technology service. So if I can welcome my guests to the stage, we have Pat Mariles from Oracle, we have Rob Beahn from Sergere, and Elsa Turturici from Kanban Box. So please welcome them to the stage. So I'd like each of the panelists to introduce themselves, give you a flavor of what they do, and then we'll get into the session itself, and I hope it will be an engaging session and that you will learn on what we are trying to do to support your industry, support your organizations to make you successful. So Pat, I'd like to introduce. Yes, please.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Pat Mariles. I'm part of the industry advisor group within Oracle. And what I'd like to do is start off with a Oracle video right now. thank you again, everybody, and thank you for inviting Oracle to the SAC conference. We really appreciate it. Me and my colleagues are excited to be here, and some of my colleagues I see are sitting right over here. If you aren't aware, Oracle has actually been supporting the automotive industry for over 40 years, right? That includes industrial manufacturing. Some of our top notable customers, whether they're running on-premise or in the cloud or a hybrid approach, include very notable OEMs and suppliers. For instance, we support Ford Motor Company, we support General Motors, we support Stellantis, Toyota, Honda. Some of the other companies we support from a tier 1 down to the tier 3 is Denso, Cummins, Eaton Corporation, JTEC, and Siemens. So we're really excited about how they're innovating today's world from an ICE vehicle to an EV vehicle. We actually, within Oracle, offer many solutions to drive you into tomorrow. We support data monetizations, we have an automotive connected platform, we have mobility as a service, we have the capabilities to help you hire, or I'm going to say retain, retrain, and recruit employees with our HCM solution. And then most of our software, and the majority of our software is actually has a lot of embedded technologies built into our supply chain management, HCM, finance, and CX solutions. So we're really excited to start this adventure with you today. We're invited here because we just recently announced a solution called the Oracle Platform for Automotive Suppliers. And I welcome all of you to come upstairs where we're collaborating with some of our ISV partners that are up here today, where we're using their SaaS solution and embedding it with our Oracle Integration Cloud to have a complete solution for our automotive suppliers. So for instance, we have True Commerce, DI Central, their solution is called DI Automotive to support release accounting cumulative management. Along with me, here with me today is Elsa, who's from Kanban Box, and we have the capabilities to support some very complex lean manufacturing within our application today, the platform for automotive suppliers. Along with another ISV partners, RF Smart, that does a lot of the barcoding, scanning, templates, and compliance requirements that the OEMs dictate from you. And we have another company, Arc, that does 3D modeling. So we're really excited about the solution. We have analytics wrapped around our platform for automotive suppliers. So in a nutshell, we have a complete solution that we'd be happy to showcase to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Pat.
Yeah.
Next, I'd like to introduce Rob Beahn from Surgier.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Beahn. I'm the director of the supplier sales team at a small to mid-sized company based in Northeast Ohio called Surgier. So what my team and I do, we spent really the last 3.5 years or so onboarding over 1,000 tier 1 suppliers that provide parts to some of the large Japanese OEMs using a new system of record to understand where their returnable containers, packs and racks are between themselves and the tier 1 supplier, or OEM, excuse me. And we've experienced some exponential growth. We have a satellite office in Aguascalientes, Mexico as well, strategically placed there, sort of in the middle of the country. And we're doing some exciting things. We're a SaaS organization that utilizes a cloud-based software. So we're extremely focused on customer experience, and we're doing some interesting things, and we'd love to have a moment of your time at some point over the next day or so. Thank you. We can cue the video.
Globally, supply chains are failing at historical levels. The failures we're witnessing are complicated by many different attributes of our supply chains. Today's supply chains are highly interconnected, international in their makeup, meet geopolitical obstructions, and of course experience operational disruptions. The most debilitating part of today's reality is that supply chains are, by and large, invisible. These problems are impossible to solve without advanced technology. At Surgier, we empower our clients with actionable insights by providing visibility to identity, location, and transaction history throughout their supply chain. And we provide that information with an unrivaled 99.9% level of accuracy. With Surgier, you can be certain. How do we do it? First, we follow the tag. But not all tags are equal. Whether we use RFID, UWB, BLE, GPS, or any other asset identification tags, Surgair engineers our tags to a 99.9% level of accuracy for each distinct use case. How do we follow the tag? Surgair uses a variety of IoT hardware in combination with our certified tags to ensure client success. We optimize our technology to achieve a perfect fit and function for specific challenging requirements. In some cases, a single supply chain may use a combination of IoT solutions. One of the most important aspects of following the tag is Surgair's engineering. Our solution engineers go on site, audit the environment, and select the appropriate IoT technologies to ensure we meet our clients' objectives. As every supply chain professional knows, it's very difficult to gain actionable insight in real time with an overwhelming amount of data, much less gain complete end-to-end supply chain visibility. Every day, Surgair synthesizes millions of data points within a single software environment, Interius, which clearly and simply shows our customers where to work, what opportunities exist to reduce cost and carbon footprint, and support supply chain decision-making. Imagine what it would be like to have the power of Interius in the palm of your hand. Access localization, visibility, and transaction history through real-time alerts and notifications in your email and text messages. Additionally, Surgair's mobile artificial intelligence application expands possibilities to help you better manage your supply chain today, tomorrow, and in the future. Surgair has many success stories, from North American Lighting to Mazda and many other brand names that you recognize as leaders in their industry. We provide clients with unprecedented visibility in 26 states and 31 countries, at nearly 2,000 client locations, reading over 40 million tags on more than 15 million assets. Surgair manages over 7 million transactions daily. Interius transactions are cloud-based on a Microsoft Azure platform. Azure provides the highest levels of cybersecurity and nearly eliminates server downtime. These benefits are the driver behind our selection of Microsoft as a cloud provider and engineering partner. A well-run supply chain is an eco-friendly supply chain. One of Surgair's greatest achievements is helping a client save over 2.7 million trees by reducing their corrugated packaging and associated carbon footprint. Surgair is proud to offer our Intelligent Sustainability Program as a new product. With the ability to calculate ROI and environmental impact in real time, our clients quickly quantify their savings in dollars and carbon simply by looking at a dashboard. Surgair justifies our clients' investment every day. There are many value propositions that go beyond ROI calculation and sustainability impact. What other value do we bring our clients? Using Interius, our clients lower packaging and part loss, build labor efficiencies, decrease production interruption, optimize transportation, minimize the use of corrugated packaging, reduce expedites, and better utilize warehouse space through visibility and location information, all while becoming known as an environmentally responsible brand. We're often asked, how do we get started? We've perfected a streamlined deployment and project management model through the experience of launching over 2,000 sites in North America. We believe in a crawl, walk, run approach to launching a program. Start slow, begin an investigation, develop success criteria, metrics, and governance, define and collaborate on a project plan and roadmap, launch a small proof of concept or phase 1. Next, expand on proven results, audit and validate performance, build upon a successful foundation. Finally, grow your supply chain community. Your return on investment will be achieved earlier and program success more easily realized if you simply follow our roadmap. Is your supply chain resilient enough? Contact us to discuss an assessment today.
Thank you, Rob. And then last but by no means least, I'd like to introduce Elsa Turturici from Kanban Box.
Hi, everyone. And it's such a pleasure to be here today. Thank you, David. So I'm glad to bring you another perspective coming from the other side of the ocean. I'm Key Account Manager of Kanban Box. It's an Italian company that manages the e-Kanban, and I'm going to show you what we do and how we do it through a video. So we are a group of management engineers and lean consultants specialized in lean organization and lean transformation. We have been doing this since 2011, when we were the first in Europe to digitize one of the fundamental methods of lean, the Kanban. Purchase, production, logistics are three words in relationship between them, but that sometimes can collide. To make them get along, we invented Kanban Box. It's a software designed for the lean management of material flows. With Kanban Box, we want to help industrial realities, regardless their dimensions, to involve both clients and suppliers, guiding their procurement process and speeding up the supply chain. That's why we are more than a software, we are partners, able to provide a just-in-time support service. Kanban Box is not offering the final solution, but it gives companies the opportunity to find the solution at any time. Thus, Kanban Box is not a simple software, it's a change-over-time system, analyzing your company's requirements and anticipating its needs. So, although the lean world was born in Japan, Kanban Box was born in Italy and it's now spread all over the world and where everyone is looking for agility and efficiency. So today we are here to promote Kanban Box and let all of you know that we are also partner of the OPA solution that Pat mentioned before. So it is a pleasure again to be here.
Thank you, Elsa. Okay, let's get on to the actual discussion itself. But I want to set the scene. We had Gary give a very, very detailed insight into what's happened, what's happening, and where are we going to go? There's a lot of uncertainty. There was one message that came out of Gary's speech that has resonated around here, and that was the word change. You've only got to look over there. Change is the only constant. The EV sector is going to change automotive. If we look at history, we look at those big technologies that came forward 100 years ago. I'm going to show you three that nobody believed would become reality. There's three technologies that today you could not exist without. The first was the telephone. Nobody believed the telephone would take off. Why? Because we didn't have the infrastructure. How are we going to lay billions of miles of cable? It will never take off. It will never work. The light bulb. Nobody believed the light bulb would replace the gas-lit lamps. Why? Because we didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't have the billions of electric cables. And then finally, the television. Nobody believed it would work. Why? Because we didn't have the infrastructure. Nobody believed we would build thousands of radio signal aerials all over the world. Change in today's industrialized world is unpredictable, unprecedented, and it's unstoppable. All of these technologies have changed over and over again until we have life-changing technologies that simply today's society would not function without. If we look at these three technologies and how they've changed today, well, quite simply, you've got all three in one device, either in your pocket or on your table right now. One device that gives you your communication, that gives you light, and you can watch the TV. That's what the EV sector is going to do to automotive. But think about the automotive industry. When the first car came out, everybody's seen this picture. It's a picture that tells a million words. When the automotive first became an industry, nobody believed it would happen. Nobody believed that horses would be replaced. And here we see a simple example. One day captured in the 1900s, one street in New York, spot the car. Gary spoke about how we're going to see the growth of EV. We don't quite know how that growth is going to turn out. The OEMs are predicting unprecedented growth. The analysts are predicting something slightly lower. But look at what history tells us. Within 10 years, it went from spot the car to spot the horse. From 2030, it will be illegal to buy a new internal combustion engine-driven vehicle across most of Europe. All new vehicles must be EV. Some countries have set that target as 2025. The EV car is here, and it is here to stay. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready as a supplier to be part of that success? Are you ready as an OEM? Are you supporting your supply chain? Have you got the right partners in place? And that's what we're going to discuss now. Now I'm going to hand over to the panel. We're going to ask our first question of the panel. And what I'd like to hear from you guys is, what effects do you see within your customer base, within your OEMs, your suppliers? What do you see are the effects of the sudden expansion of the electric vehicle? Pat, start with yourself.
Well, what we see is happening a lot in our customer install base is not only mergers and acquisitions, but a lot of new business models are being incorporated every single day. OEMs are closer to their suppliers than ever before, and it's not just their tier one supplier, it's their tier one, tier two. They're working with high-tech companies and startup companies. And collaboratively, they're trying to figure out how to adapt and innovate to support the EV car today, not tomorrow, but today, so they're better prepared for tomorrow.
Thank you, thank you. Rob, what are you seeing from a Sogea perspective?
I think what's of particular interest is, I think right now we're in a bit of a transition time. And I think, obviously down the road, most people discuss about half of the components existing in EV opposed to internal combustion. But during this transition time, it is in fact adding some line-side complexity and many new components that previously weren't in scope. So that transition is adding complexity, which oftentimes leads into several issues that I think people are dealing with now that they hadn't dealt with in the past. Primarily the large issue is the production, the transportation, ultimately to the disposal of the battery itself.
Mm-hmm. In regards to when you talk about the different changes in technology, do you see a difference between a new EV OEM and one of the more traditional OEMs? How do you see the difference between how they approach the industry?
A new, in terms of new, that can be a great thing because there's a fresh slate there. Sometimes they don't have some of those habitual process issues that some of the legacy OEMs have. And frankly, those organizations are technology companies more than they are automotive manufacturers. So they tend to be a little more innovative and open to new concepts that are sometimes complex and new, especially in the automotive space.
But smart, too, right?
If I
think outside the box.
If I can add, for us, this is the greatest challenge, the fact that new actors, new players are going to enter the market. Because we know that the automotive has always been, let's say, focused on the lean manufacturing. It's where the lean manufacturing was born. And we give a tool, but behind that tool there is a method. So all the companies that want to use our tool needs to understand what's behind. So there is a philosophy, there is a method. So like from our perspective, the fact that we are facing a new supply chain, which is completely, it's innovative, it's true, so this can lead to new opportunities, but at the same time, we need to find a new dialogue with the new interlocutors that are quite not aware of what just-in-time is, what the lean manufacturing principles are. So this can be very challenging because we are facing a not really mature supply chain right now.
So if we look at the supply chain itself, and Gary touched on this in his earlier presentation, do you see that there is a much larger new supply chain, not used to automotive? Do you see that these guys are looking to challenge the automotive status quo and how things are done?
I think so. I mean, we have witnessing a lot of merger and joint venture of old players with the new players, because new players have the right expertise that can use in this new supply chain. So we are talking of a new complete scenario.
That's fantastic. Rob, Pat, what are your customers, your suppliers saying to you in regards to what they're looking for the service industry to bring to help with this change? Are they still looking at on-premise, or are they looking to move forward with more cloud-based technologies?
I can tell you there's a mass movement to get off on-prem and move to the cloud. We're seeing that across OEM suppliers, our high-tech customers, across every industry. And one of the reasons is security, right? If you think about what's happening in today's workforce, there's a lack of skilled workforce availability in the market today. You don't need the traditional mechanic anymore. You need that high-tech employee that can read millions of lines of code. As a matter of fact, I was reading that there's about 100 million lines of code in the modern car today. 100 million lines of code. Really makes you think about it. You know, the drivetrain in the ICE vehicle, that supports about 20,000 moving parts. But in the EV, there's only 20 moving parts. So it's really interesting how everyone's pivoting, trying to find key employees that can help make that car innovative and more experiential for the customer than just having a car on the road.
Thank you. Let's move on to sort of the next area. We know that the supply chain is changing. We know there are a lot of new players in the market. What do you see as the challenges that these suppliers, both old and new, are going to start facing within the current automotive environment? Rob?
I think first and foremost, what comes to mind, having spent the amount of time that I've spent over the last 3 or 4 years inside of specifically tier 1 suppliers, is workforce. I mean, workforce is the constant thread, is the constant issue. We're all being asked to do more with less. So with that, you know, how you counter that in my mind is data, highly accurate data, so folks can make good decisions on the finite resources that they have at their fingertips. And then, you know, give them the ability to have those predictive analytics to make decisions that they're going to optimize, you know, their processes.
Thank you. Do you see, again, if we look at the supply chain itself, we're seeing a lot of new suppliers coming in from the more emerging technology side. Are they more susceptible to want to move forward things like cloud? I mean, cloud has always been a challenge to get into the traditional automotive. But do you see that these guys are more receptive? They want to embrace this style of technology?
Yeah, so I think supply chain has long suffered from you know, issues with resiliency. And I think our message, specifically at Surgere today, has met with a much more open arms than we had in the past when we come in talking about supply chain visibility. It's a conversation that folks are willing to have and are interested in having today, that maybe in the past sometimes you'd see their eyes glaze over. Today it's something that will open doors, and I think absolutely people are more receptive.
Pat, what's Oracle's perspective on how they're looking at these challenges? Again, are the customers coming to you, asking you to look at how can we modernize?
There's a lot of data to consume and to analyze to determine what is the proactive response and how to be more efficient and more agile in everyday's business. We find that a lot of our automotive and industrial manufacturers really want assistance on how to, like you had said, to do more with less. And that all comes down with data analytics in today's world. So what we're finding is that customers want us to help guide them to determine, you know, what new products are out there, what are new business models that they can venture into, knowing the data that they've received from their other suppliers, from their OEMs, and how their components are behaving.
And Elsa, when we look at the changes, the new sort of construction of that supply chain, are these new suppliers looking to you to come and help them adapt to automotive by introducing concepts such as Kanban?
Well, I will say some of them, because here we go back to the problem that I was highlighting before. Let's call the lack of awareness and knowledge towards some principles led us this challenge of getting them accepting us as expert of flows, expert in lean, and so on. So this is like the biggest challenge, the fact that they still need to structure this process flow in a more lean way. On the other hand, we were born as cloud, so I mean we are a cloud service, an SS service, so we always believe that this could give a company a better flexibility to be more agile, and also being on cloud let you the opportunity to be open, so to boost your supply chain visibility, transparency, and communication all across the supply chain. So these are like our main principle with which we were born, so we are glad that all these supply chain visibility is now spread all over the world, and all the crises, I mean the crisis and this long period that we are witnessing are leading us to rethink about the supply chain and the need of collaboration.
Thank you. So Rob, you spoke about, when I saw your video, your message was start slow, understand the challenge, then look to move forward. If we look at traditionally how the automotive sector works, the focus is always on the car, the focus is always on production. And then we get to a point of, wow, we have a finished car, next week I want to build 10,000, and then we go, but we haven't worked with the supply chain. Is the message that you're saying is focus on the supply chain earlier, get the suppliers learning? Is that the sort of message that you guys are trying to convey?
That's right. It's all about sort of those process implementation, best practices. The sooner those practices are embraced across the organization, both inside and outside of the four walls, the more success we have. And again, that's what I see as a real advantage with the EV space, is that some of those habitual processes aren't habitual, right? They don't have those, maybe those problematic, tier 2 suppliers, for instance. They're able to look at things with a fresh set of lenses that I think lends themselves to being more successful long term.
Thank you. Let's look at the next, and let's be honest, we have to discuss it. We've gone through 3 years of just unprecedented disruption, change. Again, as service providers to the automotive industry, what effects can you still see that need to be addressed because of the disruptions of COVID, because of the geopolitical issues? What other areas do you still think that the industry needs to focus on?
Well, I think that everything turns around collaboration again, because what we learned during these last years is that everything is connected. It's something that we are already aware about. There is a very strong global connection, but we never really think about our supply chain as a whole network. And for example, if we think about microchip, so they revealed a very interesting truth, which is some suppliers give the same input to different sectors. So when I analyze my supply chain, I should not only focus on my direct suppliers, I should also considering their suppliers. So my suppliers, who is supplying to, and what is his supply chain. Otherwise, I could never avoid what we have experienced so far. So the necessity of creating a network and boost this network and the shared, let's say, trust among this network is one of the key things that this period left us and that we can learn from.
Pat, from an Oracle perspective again, are you seeing, because of the COVID, because of that sudden sort of retreat to the hills, working from home, are we seeing a big upscale in people saying we need cloud in order to connect both our employees and, more importantly, our distributed supply chain?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just moving to the cloud, but having embedded technologies in the cloud. People want AI, they want machine learning, They want to rely on the data to know what they're doing today and tomorrow. Having that advanced technologies, it's kind of, they learned from the olden days, and I shouldn't say olden days, just pre-COVID. The effect of advanced technologies really has to start in the design floor, on the factory floor. It has to start and be encapsulated in every division of the company, from finance to CX to human resources. So they're now embedding more technology in every aspect of their business and relying on their suppliers and their high-tech companies and startups to do the same. So we're seeing this embracing of advanced technologies that we didn't see before COVID.
Perfect. And again, Rob, similar sort of question from a Sergier perspective. What are the challenges? What are the areas that, from a tracking and tracing of product, not just around the production line, but as we said, going down that supply chain? What is Sergier doing to try to help improve that situation?
Yeah, we've learned that we need to do more than just provide data to folks. We have to sort of almost digest that data and then give them what we call some sort of actionable insight. So yes, here's the problem, but we take it a step further and we'll provide them a where to work dashboard. Here's what the resolving of that problem will net you from a manpower, from a corrugate decrease standpoint. So we have to take it that next step, or organizationally we don't see the adoption inside of a supplier that we need for that gain to really be enjoyed.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's look at the last area. And this, for me, this is probably the one where I think as an industry we have to focus on the most. What lessons can the EV sector, what can we learn from the traditional internal combustion automotive sector? What things can they do different that will improve the way that they work?
I mean, I think there's some good news. Pat mentioned the 2000 versus 20 components inside of the drivetrain, but holistically, there are approximately, depending on who you're reading, 30,000 components in an ICE vehicle versus maybe 14 or 15,000 in the EV space. So I think the long-term forecast could be positive, right? Because just from a mathematical standpoint, we're tracking less parts. So I think there's some real positive potential there, which I think is a good place to start.
Yeah, I personally think it's not about the car anymore.
Right.
It's about the customer experience. What I want out of a car versus what Elsa wants out of a car could be vastly different. I want that experience in the car as a mobility service to me.
That's interesting. One of the things for me that really I think the EV sector has a real opportunity to take a look at. I've been in automotive for 30 years, and the relationship, the focus, the pressure was always OEM tier one.
Yes.
If I look at, if COVID's taught me anything, is we now finally realize that we do actually have a huge supply chain beyond tier one. We need to bring those guys in. We need to educate those hidden suppliers, not just the horizontal supply chain, but also the vertical, the 3PLs, the 4PLs, third-party finishers. Now's the time to really bring that entire supply chain together.
It's very important. I'm from the Detroit area, and I was born and raised in Ford country, and if Ford told you to do it, you did it. How high do you want me to jump?
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. Ford can't do it alone. They need to rely on and collaborate with all their suppliers, high tech across, the 3PLs, like you said, to have that customer experience and win over that business. That's absolutely true.
And do you think, again, if we look at sort of the 90s, the 2000s, up till COVID, there was a lot of outsourcing, a lot of movement of manufacturing to certain areas. We've had a lot of very disruptive change happen at the same time. We have obviously the political issues with China. We had COVID. We've got the war that's going on in Eastern Europe. Do you think that we're going to see again a complete sort of restructuring of the manufacturing base?
I think we have to. I think in order to stay competitive, all of the nuance that goes into successful supply chain management needs to be addressed. I mean, you know, we talk about WIP, we talk about returnables, we talk about, you know, even, you know, the cubage inside of a trailer, how to optimize that. So many times I'll spend time with tier one suppliers and they're shipping, you know, trailers at 40, 50, 60% capacity. Those things that I think we probably didn't prioritize or spend enough time on in the past need to be prioritized, or that competitive problem will persist.
And you know what, the ICE vehicle is not going to go away anytime soon. You're going to have to support the ICE, the hybrid, and the EV car. The EV is coming very quickly, but we definitely have to address
it
the
will
supply
be
chain.
a very intermediate hard period since everyone will be part of this scenario. But with disruption also comes opportunities. So there are a lot of opportunities, and the supply chain has the opportunity to be born already structured. So we are not, let's say, try to do attempt because we have the experience, and through the experience we learn some lessons. We learn the fact that the world is never going to be organized. We experience a pandemic, and we don't know what the future will bring us. So we have to be a structured supply chain which are more resilient and can face all kind of situation that will appear in the future, good or bad.
Thank you, Elsa. I'd like to hold it there. We have 1 minute left, so if anybody has any questions that you'd like to present to the panel, we have some microphones at the front. Please come forward, and the panel will be happy to answer any questions. Okay, I'll take the 5-second rule. If nobody stands up, we have 40 seconds. So thank you, Pat. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Elsa. And I look forward to meeting you out on the floor and talking to you guys. If you have questions, come and see us afterwards. So thank you very much, everybody.